Okay, so you're burning cash on ads, CPAs are through the roof, and everyone's telling you, hey, just tweak this little thing on your landing page and you're gonna magically start converting more people. But you can still see 95% of your visitors just leaving your site empty-handed and never coming back. Well, in the next few minutes, I'm gonna show you how you can capture 20% of your traffic instead of the pathetic 3% industry average and trigger them inside of an ecosystem that uses organic content and every single angle possible to build trust and build desire for the next 3 to 4 months to convert even your most skeptical visitors. Because you see, only 2 to 5% of your traffic is ready to buy when they land on your site. The rest just isn't ready. They don't have the awareness level needed to buy. So it doesn't matter if you tweak this button on your site, do some CRO or whatever. You need to capture them, retarget them, and you need to take them through the awareness stages using a channel you own without having to pay for more ads, more retargeting ads or whatever. And then I'm going to show you how we use AI to understand an audience better than they understand themselves. It's something we developed where we push 200 reviews per product into an AI model and it spits out a quantitatively accurate document of your audience. Plus, I'm going to give you the actual email templates because I want you to implement something today, see your results today, and then come back for more. So yeah, stick around because this isn't just some theory. These are the exact systems we've used to generate over $4 million for our clients on the back end without them having to spend an extra penny on ads. So this is the CPA reduction masterclass where I'm going to show you how you can use your email channel to decrease your CPA without changing anything on your ads or your website. So first of all, if I do show you this board, as you know, only 2 to 5% of your traffic that's coming to your site is converting into a customer. That's why your conversion rate is around 2 to 5%. Okay, that's because only 2 to 5% of your traffic is in this stage, which is the ready to buy stage. The 95% is product aware, solution aware, or problem aware. Okay, so what happens is if you don't have a solid backend, and by solid backend, please, I don't mean just a Clive pop-up and a few flows. That's not what I mean by backend. I'm going to show you in a second what I mean by backend. So yeah, if you don't have a solid backend, this is basically where the story ends. 95% is going to leave and that's it. But when you have a solid backend and a good capture rate and a good pop-up submit rate, this is what happens. 2 to 5% convert, they become a customer. Okay, that's it for now when it comes to CPA. But when you optimize your pop-up, and I'm not just talking about a regular pop-up which you just put on site, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a pop-up that's fully optimized. Every single variable on the pop-up is optimized, from the incentive, the design, the copy, everything you can imagine. For example, here the industry average for this is about 3 to 5%, the submit rate industry average. Okay, and after basically optimizing every variable possible, you can basically convert up to 20% of your traffic into email and SMS subscribers. There is a pop-up masterclass where I show you how to achieve these results. You can watch the masterclass and start capturing around 20% of your traffic. Okay, and this basically gives us a good chunk of people to play with, and by play with I mean nurture. And keep in mind that these people are your highest intent traffic that we're basically about to buy. Right? This 20% doesn't include people that are not interested, because if they were not interested, they wouldn't have opted in and they wouldn't be on site for that long. All right. So using that 15 to 20% of traffic, we basically trigger it in the welcome flow. Everyone knows the welcome flow, okay? But like there is this thing where whenever there is a name and whenever something is called something, people just assume everything that's called this certain thing is the same thing always, right? But a welcome flow just means a flow that triggers on new visitors, okay? Because some brands, they have the welcome flow and they think they're sorted. It just doesn't make sense. So you need to make sure every single email has an intent, because there's 15 to 20% of traffic, all right? You first need to assume that they are product aware, because that's where you're going to be picking the lowest hanging fruit. Because let's say if you're selling a weight loss supplement, okay, the people on your site, they are problem aware, they are product aware, they know they have a problem. So if you're sending content which is around people that are problem aware, you're basically trying to make people problem aware inside of your welcome flow. This just doesn't make sense. They already know they have a problem, they're looking for a solution. So the welcome flow, you need to make sure the content is high converting. So in this flow, you're basically gonna welcome them to the brand, show that you're a real brand, have some personalized plain text messages. Don't just have a designed welcome flow where every single email is a designed email. Have some personal plain text follow-ups, okay, from the founder, from a C-level person, okay. And you also need to mention inside of the email something timely. So for example, yesterday you signed up, right? When you mention stuff like this, it looks less automated, it sounds less automated, and it actually sounds like someone wrote this email on the spot for that person. And just adding this type of details inside of your emails just increases your conversion rate of these emails. And in this video, you're just gonna educate about your brand, why you guys are the perfect solution. Don't try and make them problem aware again. Focus on making them product aware, letting them know why you guys are the best brand to buy from, okay? And similar here, you're gonna address some objections. You're gonna show again why you guys are the best, show some reviews, help them find the match if you have different products, answer a few questions they might have, okay? So this welcome flow is made for people who are product aware, okay? Now, with a lot of in-house teams that do email marketing and email marketing agencies, this is where the story ends. When they capture visitors, right? If they don't buy, that's it. The visitors, the subscribers are going to sit inside of the email list, receiving generic campaigns which are not even personalized. Unless you have a team that's every week sitting down and personalizing campaigns for your non-buyers, then that's a different story. But if that's not happening, your non-buyers are just sitting in your list and not converting. And I can prove that to you. If we go to Klaviyo right now and make a segment, I can show you that 50 to 60% or sometimes even 70% of your email list are non-buyers and are not buying. Let's make that segment right now. Okay, so inside of Klaviyo, just go to lists and segments, create new, click on create. Let's call this all profiles. Okay, this is going to be a segment. Okay, actually, this is going to be a segment that shows your entire mailing list. That's going to give you the number of your entire mailing list. So you're just going to select if someone can receive marketing and person has subscribed. Click on create segment, and whilst this is loading, we're going to go to the lists and segments page again, create another segment called non-buyers. Okay, so in this one, you're simply going to select the same condition. All right, person can receive email marketing because they're subscribed, and what someone has done or not done. placed order 0 times over all time. Okay, you're going to create a segment, you're going to let these load, okay, and once they're loaded, this is basically what you're going to see. So your all profile segment, ignore the names are a bit different because we made this a while back. But the first segment that you made, which has your entire mailing list, it's going to be, let's say this is 100%, okay, and your non-buyers segment is going to be more than half, okay, in some cases like 70-80%. So this just shows that after going through the welcome flow, they just sit in your email list receiving generic campaigns, okay. But what we do is we take a step back. All right, now in the next flow, which is the endless nurture flow, which contains 30 to 40 emails that send across 3, 4, 5 months, okay, and that are targeted to non-buyers. All right, we specifically mention in those emails, like, hey, try for the first time, etc. The copy is extremely personalized to non-buyers and not a generic email that's being sent out to everyone. But yeah, in that flow, what we do is we take a step back and we say, okay, they are problem aware, and then we slowly take them down the awareness levels. All right, we're going to start giving problem aware content, basically nurturing them into solution aware, and later down product aware and ready to buy. Now let me just show you what I mean. And we do that, we take them down the awareness stages are basically building trust and building desire, building trust for the brand and building desire for the product. Because theoretically, if someone has enough trust in the brand and enough desire for the products, at some point in time, if you keep laying these blocks on top of each other, at some point in time they're going to reach a conviction threshold, after which they're going to buy. Okay, the difference is the variable that we don't know is the amount of time that it's going to take. All right, for some it takes, let's say, 6 to 10 emails. For some it can take a lot of emails, like 30 to 40 emails, and a lot of time as well. Okay, that's why this flow, the endless nurture flow, it spans across 3 to 4 months. Right, so yeah, in this flow we basically use every single angle imaginable to build trust and build desire for the products. Okay, so for example, building trust using studies and statistics, we basically, I'm just going to be transparent, we use AI agents to really dig into studies and research that could be relevant to your brand and your products. Okay, and we basically dig them up and we find a way to integrate them inside of emails and make an email around the studies, because we can basically trigger the logical part of the brain so that they can logically justify buying from you. Building trust by showing you understand the problem, just an email relating with them that, hey, you've got this problem, we know this is a solution. Building trust by talking about common experiences, plain text emails that are human to human, talking about common experiences. Building trust by telling emotional stories. Building trust by using trust by association. So that's basically, for example, the sauna brand, right? They've used trust by association by mentioning references, mentioning quotes of very popular people like Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman, right? Even though they haven't used their sauna, but they've used the similar mechanism. So Joe Rogan has used a sauna before and he's commented about the sauna. So this sauna brand is using that to their advantage, and they're not lying or anything. They're just mentioning that Joe Rogan said this about their product mechanism, and that just builds trust for the product mechanism and the brand by default. And then building trust using strong guarantees. A lot of brands have guarantees, but they just don't know how to frame it. It's just at the bottom of their product page or at the bottom of their emails. They don't know how to frame it properly. So for example, this email, just look at the way it's framing it. We're basically giving away free money. Here's how you do it. Spend $1,000. All right, if we basically don't meet the guarantee, in this case it's if you find it cheaper elsewhere, we'll refund you and you get free money, etc., etc. We can make something similar for 30-day returns, 60-day returns. All right, so that's building trust using guarantees, building trust by admitting shortcomings. This is very common in e-commerce because one of the most common shortcomings is the price and also the shipping, because most likely your customers can buy a similar product from Amazon or their local brick and mortar store, okay, and they can get it quicker. Amazon Prime is now doing like same day delivery, right? So you're basically admitting it up front, like, hey, we're not cheap, but here is why. Okay, and you tell them you're the best, you're using the best stuff inside, and if you were to make it cheaper, it would compromise on this and this and this. You're basically turning a negative into a positive. And you can do the same for shipping. You can say, hey, like all of those fast shipping products, they're basically including the price inside of the product, but we want to make sure you get the best value. That's why we only spend money on things that improve the product, etc., etc. There's a lot of ways to angle shortcomings to turn them into positives. And then building trust by showing behind the scenes. This is really good, because if you can show them behind the scenes what happens with your brand, like what you do, what you guys do when it comes to producing the products, the customers are going to choose you over some random brand they've seen on Meta or Google Ads, right? And then building trust using social proof, building trust using longevity. This can be longevity about the brand or longevity about the product mechanism. You can maybe mention if the product mechanism is selling, let's say for example it's organic honey, right? You can just mention, hey, honey has been around for thousands of years and it's been used by these people, etc. Right, you can use longevity not only for how long your brand has been around, so that's a big advantage, but if you're a new brand, you can use longevity of the product mechanism, right? So basically there's a lot of ways, like this is not even touching the surface. There's a lot of ways to build trust and desire. And by the way, some of these ways, just to be transparent, I've got them from another email marketer called Matthias Pirelli, shout out to him. But he's mainly doing it with campaigns. I've basically integrated it into flows and also added the knowledge of these guys. So every single persuasion tactic, audience research tactic, we've basically implemented that inside of these flows, okay, and our research. And you might have a question, you might be wondering, hey, you guys are an agency, how do you even understand the audience? Like, it's not even your audience. How am I sure that you guys understand my audience? That's a common question we get. And basically what we do and what you can do to make sure that you've got the correct understanding of your brand, okay, is using zero-party and first-party data. That just basically means using existing customer data, opinions and comments of your audience, not your assumptions, not your product pages, but basically stuff like customer reviews. What we do is basically take around 100 to 200 product reviews, in-depth product reviews for every product. Okay, so for example, Let's say you have a bestseller. Let's say it's the cinnamon organic honey. We would take every single in-depth review, around 100 to 200 reviews, okay, like this, and then we'd feed it inside of an AI model that we created, and it's basically going to spend quite a few minutes trying to figure out and put the pieces together, and it's going to use PhD level reasoning to create a document like this. It's a quantitatively accurate document of your audience. This is what it creates, but just to show you visually, just so that it's easy for you to visually understand. It basically takes all of the mentions of the pain points, because in reviews like this, customers don't just mention, okay, it was an amazing product. They also start talking about the problem they had, what they used it for. They also start mentioning psychographic data, like what they're interested in, hobbies, etc., etc. All right, we take 100 to 200 of these for every product, okay, not for the entire brand, for every product. And then we create a document like this, all right, where we have the pain points weighted by percentage, the desire by percentage, how commonly they were mentioned inside of that batch of reviews, the desired outcomes that were mentioned, the product features that were praised inside of the review, so what actually matters to your customers, the objections they mentioned, the top phrases they used, okay, some segments, make some segments, and yeah, that's basically how we can understand your audience like this. All right, now this endless nurture flow is gonna keep sending nurture campaigns, and I say campaigns because these are evergreen emails. All right, they don't have any discounts, they only nurture, and they send Mondays and Fridays, because Mondays and Fridays are the best days for educational content and just like nurture content. And at the same time, we use a feature called flow synchronization. It's not natively inside of Klaviyo, you have to set it up manually, and that's basically where we can synchronize this flow, the endless nurture flow, with the downsell flow. The downsell flow is just a sequence of offers that go out to a very targeted audience. So it's not going to go out to everyone on your list, it's going to go out to people that meet a specific criteria automatically. All right, they only have to be set up once, and they're going to keep sending out. And the reason all of this is not in one flow is because if you have a sale like Black Friday or an important sale, you can just switch off the downsell flow, and it's going to prevent any other discount from going out. And you can keep the endless nurture flow active, so they can keep nurturing your list, and you don't have to send campaigns to nurture your list ever again. Okay, it's going to take all the pressure off of your campaigns, even for your customers, because we have another very long flow for customers to build loyalty, but that's going to be in the next masterclass, the LTV masterclass. But this is about the CPA reduction masterclass. So yeah, just having all of the content, using every single angle possible when it comes to building trust and desire. Because if you can't do that with campaigns where you can personalize the messaging to non-buyers, what makes you think you can convert non-buyers using generic campaigns about a new blog that's out or some random content idea your marketing agency has come up with? Because if targeted content cannot convert your non-buyers, sending campaigns to them is just not useful. It's going to increase your Klaviyo bill, it's going to decrease your deliverability, and yeah, your campaigns should remain for your most loyal customers. And I know that's an unconventional take, all right, because no other marketing agency is going to offer you something like this, while they set up everything up front. That's basically like a year's worth of nurturing setup up front that's gonna automatically nurture your future visitors and existing subscribers. Okay, so yeah, the Downsell Flow, this flow has around 15 to 20 emails. It's a sequence of offers. So basically what this is, so if I just give you some context, we've been doing Black Friday campaigns for the last 3 years for some of our clients, and we've just recognized that, hey, for every offer there is a certain sequence, there are different tactics and different sequences that work. And the Downsell Flow is basically every sequence, every tactic that works when it comes to offers, right? Instead of just giving them one offer, like a 10% off, we give them a 10% off, and then after 2 weeks or a month, if they haven't converted, they will automatically receive the next offer, which can be, let's say, free shipping. And when I say offer, I don't just mean one email that's gonna say, hey, here's a discount. It's gonna be an offer like this. For example, this is a sequence of one offer. Okay, this is not the entire flow. For example, for this brand, this is the theme, so don't think that it's going to be the same for everyone. It really depends on the theme of the brand. So first of all, there's like a teaser, like, hey, we have a secret, and then just say, hey, stay tuned for tomorrow's email. Okay, and then we give them a discount in this one. That's going to be a gift, by the way. Okay, we give them a discount, and we have some more nurturing. Then we have different types of follow-ups. That's again just for one offer. All right, different types of follow-ups that work depending on the audience demographics and psychographics. Okay, this is just one sequence for one offer. The Downsell Flow has around 45 offers. Okay, that trigger on autopilot, that trigger automatically for the next 4 to 5 months. So not only is your audience, are your non-buyers going to be receiving the endless nurture flow that's going to automatically nurture them for a long amount of time. This is not a welcome flow where they just go out for a week. This is 3 to 4 months of nurturing. Okay, and we also give them a chance, give them an incentive to basically buy by giving them an offer every 2 weeks or every month, depending on how aggressive you want to be. So these are the main flows for CPA reduction. And you also might be wondering, what about the abandonment flows? Now, the abandonment flows, the only two flows that actually do help when it comes to CPA reduction, okay, is the checkout flow and the cart abandonment flow. Okay, the site abandonment flow and the browse abandonment flow, you do not want them to trigger on new visitors, because if someone comes to your site, okay, and they start receiving the welcome flow, of course, but at the same time they start receiving the site abandonment flow or the browse abandonment flow, it's going to desensitize them, right? The sequence is not going to make sense anymore, because in one day they're going to receive 2 to 3 emails. This is going to desensitize your audience to emails. You don't want that to happen. Do not let site abandonment flows and browse abandonment flows trigger on new visitors. They can trigger on returning visitors, and I'm going to show you how to set that up. But when it comes to new visitors, do not distract them from the welcome flow just because of these two low intent short flows, okay? But when it comes to the cart and the checkout flow, we basically build checkout flows and cart flows uniquely for new visitors, and we also have a set for returning visitors, but uniquely for new visitors, because your highest intent traffic that's about to buy are basically your abandoned carts, your abandoned cart subscribers, people that started checkout but haven't finished. We basically had to choose between them receiving the welcome flow or the checkout flow. Other agencies, they're gonna basically let them receive both the welcome flow and the checkout flow, which is gonna increase your spam rate. It's gonna desensitize your audience because they're receiving too many emails. But what we do is, if a new visitor has started checkout, they don't receive the welcome flow, they receive the checkout flow, but this checkout flow is not your typical abandoned cart notification checkout flow. This is basically like the big sister of the welcome flow. It has all of the content the welcome flow has, but the only difference is at the top of the email we acknowledge their high intent action, which is their abandoned checkout. So yeah, this is basically the theory behind CPA reduction and the main flows that are needed to significantly reduce CPA. Now, enough talking, I'm gonna give you some examples. I'm gonna give you actual Word doc files with emails so that you can tweak them, plug them inside of your existing flow, and you can see the results for yourself. Okay, you can actually make some more money out of this video, implement this video and make more money. And then once you make more money and you see more results, you're gonna be like, hey, Junaid was talking about 30 to 40 email long flows, downsell flows, and more flows. What about we just let him and his team do it for us? Right, that's my plan. I'm gonna get you results right now. Okay, so here is a Word doc containing some of the emails I've shown you inside of the video. These are plain text emails, okay? It's not going to be easy for you to implement designed emails that easily, because you'll have to design them, implement them. They just take a lot longer, even though plain text emails convert sometimes even better than designed emails. So I'm going to give you access to this, okay? And ideally, I want you to set up an A/B test. I'm going to show you right now. Okay, very easy to set up an A/B test. So let's just say this is your welcome flow. All you're going to do is add a conditional split at the start. And here, just select random sample, and it's automatically going to be 50. Just to save, okay, and then you just want to build the new emails on this path, okay, using the same time delays, etc. But you might find it long. You might think these are too many emails and you just want to test one email. If you are going to do only 1 or 2 emails, do these ones. So this one, number 3, this is an email where we admit the shortcoming and stuff, where we are too expensive, we are expensive, but it's for a reason, etc. Now, don't try and manually write this. You can if you want, but the easiest thing to do is to just copy and paste this email inside of Claude 4 Opus if you can. If not, then GPT-4o is okay. Don't just paste it in. Tell GPT that this is an email for a weightlifting apparel brand, but we have a brand, and then just mention details about your brand, mention details about your audience, okay? And when I say mention details about your brand, I mean you should have like a brand document about your USPs, etc., etc. Mention all of them. In the AI era, you should have a document that's basically detailing all of your brand details. If not, you have to make one because times are changing. Everything is being done by AI now. Make one. Get AI to tweak this for you. Okay? Tell AI to keep the same tactic and the same reasoning behind the email. Okay? So that it keeps everything the same. But only tweak it for your brand. Alright? Make sure you prompt AI properly. Get AI to spit out the tweaked copy for your brand, and then you manually go in and just make sure it's accurate and it's how you want it to be. All right. Once you've done that, it should take you like 5 minutes because the email has already been written. Okay, just paste it in, tell AI to keep the same reasoning and the logic and tactic behind this email, but tweak it for your brand, right? And then you're just gonna do this. So let's say you want to tweak it for, let's say email 3, we said, right? You're simply going to add a conditional logic split here, and on the no path, you're gonna build the email like this, and then you're just gonna rejoin this here, and that's it. And then let a week pass by, and then click on show analytics, and then compare the analytics of your previous email and the email that I've just recommended to you. Okay, just make sure you've selected a time frame where both emails had the same amount of recipients. So that's why I said 7 days. Do that 7 days, and then see the difference in the conversion rate and the amount of revenue generated. Okay, just keep in mind for this email, use a personal name because it's a plain text email. For the sender name, subject line, do something like this. All right, so that's something you can implement right now and get results. And if you want to implement this yourself, you can do this. It's not as if we are the only ones that know how to do this. You can do this, but it's going to take you a lot of time to figure out all of the angles that do work with email, and yeah, how to do it for your brand, how to implement all of this for your brand. It's going to take you a lot of time, like 100 hours. If you have the amount of time, go ahead and do it. All right. If not, we can do this for you, and you won't even have to lift a finger. Like literally, all we need is your green light. Basically, just say, "Hey, build me these flows." We do all of the research. We don't really need anything from you apart from your creatives, all right, and Klaviyo Manager access. Apart from that, we can build all of this for you. We do the research, the copy, the design, the implementation, all done for you within 10 days. All right, that's like 70 to 100 emails that are made to convert, and we put our money where our mouth is. Instead of charging you a set fee, like an upfront fee, we just say, hey, you don't pay us anything unless our flows outperform your existing flows. So we basically calculate the baseline of your existing flows, how much revenue your existing flows are generating as a percentage, okay? And then we only look at the performance above your existing performance, and we only charge you commission for 90 days on the additional flow revenue, all right? Not what you're already doing, but on the additional flow revenue. So yeah, well, that's a discussion for another day. Right now, go and implement these emails. Go and implement this email if you can, and look at the results, and then we can talk. And then you can just go to our site, book a call, or go straight for the audit, and we'll take it from there.